South Florida, we have progressives, but we don't really have a progressive movement. Orlando, Tampa, the I-4 corridor, if you will, there is a progressive movement that is growing there, and much needed, to say the least. So without further ado, we are pleased to welcome into the studio, friend of the show, awesome, super progressive, and lots of supporters here for him this evening, Kevin Parker. Welcome to Generational Change, sir.
Hi guys.
Hi. How are you?
God. I'm great. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. So let's start off. Tell a little bit about yourself, where your district is, and a little bit about your background. And we just kind of go through the standard spiel just so that people can get an idea who you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Kevin Parker. I live in Kissimmee in Osceola County in Congressional District 9. I am a transplant from New York. I've been here for about 14 to 15 years. I did a lot of my high school here. I did my college, and I grew up here as an adult. So I'm staying, and the big news, I'm running for Congress for U.S. House District 9 against Darren Soto. I am super excited and a little nervous to go on this journey, but I know that with the message that I have and the people behind me, that this is going to go places and they are going to take notice. And I appreciate you, Peter, for mentioning that progressive movement, because I say it all the time. We have the people in the places that want to make the change, but you've got to step up. As the people who aren't running, you have to step up and you have to put your weight behind them, because that's how we shut the establishment down and get the people who need to be in the right seats, in their seats.
What I try to do, and I try to point people to, is the blueprint that Nevada has set for us in terms of how we take over. Takeover is not even the right word, but to basically turn the state party infrastructure into one that actually responds to the will of the people and not the will of corporate special interests. Can you talk about, we don't have to talk too much about Representative Soto, but can you talk about the politics, if you will, of the Orlando metropolitan area? We are big, fans. I don't like the word fans, but we are definitely big supporters of. Yes, we are big supporters of Ann Escamani and Carlos Guillermo Smith. So, if you could talk about just sort of the changing, if you will, of the atmosphere, so to speak, as far as Orlando metro politics are concerned. Obviously, we'd love to learn more about how that's shaping up.
Yeah. So I really think that progressive policies are taking real hold in our area. It's CD9, CD10, CD11, and we're all kind of just realizing and waking up. And I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that, because even now I work in Disney Springs, and there's still a lot of holes left in staffing. So I think a lot of people are waking up and realizing that their time and their energy, it's worth more than what we're getting. And I think that people are starting to kind of fall behind that, especially in terms of healthcare, in housing. Housing in Osceola County, we have a real problem with that. The Orlando Sentinel actually did a feature expose, not last year, but the year before, about the fact that a lot of the Disney workers are staying in these motels that are not the cleanest. They're raising rent all the time, and they're trapped there. So I think that we're coming out swinging with these progressive policies, and people are falling behind that.
Yeah, it seems to me that one of the things that has been agreed upon, I believe, is a $15 minimum wage at Disney studio properties. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But it did take a while to get there. But yes, that's where we are.
But the thing that doesn't get talked about enough, and this is really the issue that I think we need to be focusing on. Again, a $15 minimum wage is important, but I think a living wage is infinitely more important. A $15 minimum wage somewhere up in the panhandle is definitely a living wage for a lot of people. But living in the Orlando metro area, $15 an hour is not a living wage. If you want to have, I think, just a regular 2-bedroom apartment, for example, would probably be closer to, plus 20, 25, somewhere in that range. So obviously working harder for that particular issue of a living wage, I have no doubt, is part of your platform. I think the singular issue of our day is Medicare for all. As far as I know, well, with the exception of, I think, 2 or 3 in the whole state, Representative Soto does not support Medicare for all. So I would assume that that's definitely one of the big differences among others that you guys have.
Yes. I believe deep within my heart and firmly that every person in this country is entitled to not only a higher standard of care, but we need to raise that to a standard. We're seeing a difference in in healthcare between the rich and the poor, where if you have the money to pay your bill, you're going to be seen first. But if you're broke like me, it takes them a while. It takes them a few hours, and not to mention if you have a real problem, you go through so many channels just to get that adjusted, and that bill just keeps stacking and stacking and stacking. And Soto bills himself as a progressive. He's a part of the National Progressive Party. I'm sorry, the caucus.
Right.
But
yeah, well, that's very big.
Kevin, what's the caveat? What's the caveat about the Progressive Caucus?
There's over 100 people in that thing, and I got to tell you, where have they been?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? Because they're not
not real progressives. No. They tack that name on just so they can say that, oh, well, I'm a progressive, here are my policies, but you don't follow those policies at all. You cannot call yourself a progressive if you don't adhere to those core progressive policies.
Can't call yourself a progressive caucus if you take corporate special interest.
No,
absolutely
and how many
not.
of them do? Probably all but maybe 15, maybe and there's over 100 members in the House Progressive Caucus. I've never been able to figure that out. Who are they? Where are they? What? It's really ridiculous.
And we figure it out by seeing where the money is coming from.
Oh yeah.
I started doing my Oppo research very early on Darren Soto, and I see where his money is coming from. Amazon, Publix, healthcare industries, which is why he declines to sign the Medicare for All bill, despite the fact that 110 congressmen have already signed on to that bill. The group that I work with, Progressives for Democratic America, we have a congressional liaison program, and we've tried to get in contact with Stephanie Murphy's office and Val Deming's office and Darren Soto's office. It took us a while to even get a meeting with one of his aides, who then still had to look up what the bill was. So no, he's not signing on to it, and that's why, I think that's going to be a huge downfall for him, is that people do need this. I always say you are one bad accident from a lifetime of medical debt, and that is the truth of it.
Now, ironically, even though this is your first time running for Congress, this is not the first time Darren Soto has been challenged. He has been challenged before by Alan Grayson. So there is sort of this desire to see him not represent this particular area. I would assume that has a lot to, because Alan Grayson is a progressive. So I would assume that this has a lot to do with the fact that he truly is not representing the people of this district. There are a lot of arguments to be made about various representatives throughout the state in both parties, or throughout the country for that matter. But this seems to me like a clear example of a representative who really is not answering the call to his representatives. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yes, 100%. The entire time during during the pandemic, I saw him one time. I saw him one time, and that was at a Black Lives Matter rally that we had in downtown Kissimmee back in June, and then that was all I ever heard from him. And maybe one email about just an update on the vaccine rollout. You cannot represent your district if you're not here on the ground talking to the people, finding out what the issues are, and working to address those issues. I don't see him anywhere.
So if you are running for Congress, and obviously you know it's going to take a monumental effort in order to do that, how are you in terms of relationships with, let's say, the county party and with people as part of your team being involved with, precinct committee positions and things like that? One of the issues that Jen faced that was significant against Wasserman Schultz is there is this infrastructural control that exists here in Broward. Now, I don't know how it is in Orange and Osceola, but I'm guessing that there are those problems, even if they aren't as tightly wound as Broward is, but still a serious hurdle that one must overcome in order to be effective and to be challenging and viable.
We do. We have the same issue. Back during the reorganization, there was a group of us that put together a slate of progressive policies, and of course, the people who had been there put up their slate of people. And now, to my knowledge, we were the only county to actually do a slate type of election for the reorganization. And our slate, our progressive slate, didn't stand a chance. It was shut down immediately. So, yeah. So there's a lot of work to be done with them. But I'm the kind of person where I have my resources. I don't need to rely on them. If they want to help me, I will accept the help. But if they expect me to grovel and beg and, jump when they say jump, it's not happening. I'm a part of the Black Caucus. We are starting a progressive caucus here. So I'm not worried about having to work necessarily alongside the county DEC if that's how they're going to play the game.
Yeah. Jen? I mean, that it's you have to be able to deal with them. But on the other hand, when they become an impediment, I've kind of alternated between sort of tolerating them and trying to go around them. But it is different down here. We have a lot. It's just we're not as to the left as you guys are up in the middle. We are definitely, our old guard is very much in control here, and it's just a very different setup. And Debbie is very entrenched. It's just very different. How long has Soto been sitting there?
I believe this is his third term. So okay, so 6 years.
No. Oh yeah. So that's all right. So. Yeah, so Debbie's, pushing on like what, 20?
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, there's definitely
and then she's 30 overall because she's in our state legislature first, and then she went right into Congress. So she's been serving this district for 30 years.
Yeah, it was no pun intended that we call it generational change, but Debbie literally has been sitting as the queen of Broward politics for 30 years. So it is a generation. South Florida is much more of a problem than Central Florida is concerned. Obviously Val Demings is now obviously stepping away from her seat. There's a possibility, one can only hope, that Stephanie Murphy might do the same. So there is a lot more fluctuation, if you will, in terms of electoral politics in Central Florida, which is a good thing. Yeah. Charlie Crist, gave up his congressional seat, and obviously a lot of people are eyeing that. But I do think that as much as anything, as far as the progressive movement is concerned, in terms of how we build an infrastructure so that non-corporate candidates can have a fighting chance to win congressional races, is to follow the blueprint of what just happened in Nevada. And I do think that is the thing that I would emphasize to everybody who believes in Kevin, believes in his message, and wants to help him succeed, whether he wins or loses. Being able to be involved as a precinct committee leader, even a precinct committee captain, those types of things really have a tremendous impact. And not that you're going to be doing anything nefarious, but what you are going to be able to do is not only have a seat at the table, but you will be able to block any nefarious behavior.
100%.
So being able to be involved at that level is very important because let's face it, one thing we've learned, especially, I still think that the biggest impediment that befell upon Bernie in the movement between 16 and 20 is that not enough people were involved in that capacity, and not recognizing that a lot of the work that needs to be done in order to achieve success, it's not sexy, it's not fun. Right. A lot of that stuff is, it's a very small part of the process, but being involved thoroughly is how this change is going to happen. And that I would emphasize to everybody, that if they really want to see you be successful, help out in any capacity, but especially being a part of your county DEC, that will have a tremendous impact for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
Those precinct people get a vote within their DEC. as if enough progressives really come in, they have that voice and they can shut down whatever nefarious or just like even sketchy looking motions establishment people try to pass.
So what would you say, Kevin, like if you had to say what are your top 3 issues? Like we always try to say, like, what are you, if you were giving your stump speech, like, what are the 3 things?
Not like ESP. I was just thinking the exact same thing. Like literally.
No, we've just been doing this together for a really long time. Okay.
I was literally just saying, so we've got healthcare, environment, and criminal justice reform.
Well, those
you do have
there's 2 of them.
Yes, obviously, and every area is different, but
yeah, no, and the truth is they're all important, but like, you know, just if you were to prioritize what really the 3 things that motivate you the most, what would that be?
Healthcare for one. Like I said earlier, I believe everyone should have access to a high standard of care. As Bernie puts it, Bernie is I think he's probably one of my mentors. He's the reason why I got in this to begin with, is that we have 2 million people in this country who are underinsured or don't have any insurance at all, and that is abysmal. That is abysmal.
Yeah.
My second big topic, my second big issue is racial inequality and criminal justice reform in this country. It's something that we need so bad, and it's almost kind of infuriating that we just had the House and the Senate approve Juneteenth as a federal holiday, but our cries.
I'm sorry to laugh. I'm sorry. We did
but
that.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, we do a story time on this show that I call Tales of, or the Kente Cloth Tales. And it's an anthology of tone deafness. And last week, the story was about the creation of Juneteenth by a Congress who doesn't really want to help Black people, but wants to look like they actually care. And I find it even more ridiculous. Like they look to me. Now, there's people that buy it. There's a whole swath of neolibs that buy that nonsense, you know, identity politics and all that stuff. But it does not please me at all. Yeah, sure, Juneteenth should be a holiday. It should have been a holiday before Columbus Day should have been a holiday. And yeah, okay, great. I'm all for federal holidays. But okay, that doesn't do anything for
it doesn't answer. It doesn't address the things that we've been asking for, the things that we have begging for, the things that have been made clear within the past year is that we need our Black brothers and sisters, our POCs, regardless of what you are within that umbrella, we need to be treated better. We need to be we need to stop being looked at as criminals before you even know who we are. That's a major thing that we've asked for, especially coming off of the George Floyd incident. Don't get me started on what Nancy Pelosi said on the anniversary, because that was tone deaf beyond belief. And
it was. I can't.
No.
Right? Like,
no.
How do people not shoot these people? Like, this is when they say stuff like that I can't wrap my head around how someone with just this slightly of a loose screw doesn't hear that and just go off, because it's infuriating to us. So all it would take is somebody slightly less than stable or desperate. I mean, I don't know. I find it so infuriating to me about Nancy Pelosi. That's basically cloth tails.
Yeah, and that's one of the valid arguments against the squad, is that they are basically just waiting for her to go out to pasture. And I mean, the truth is,
we can't wait for that.
Yeah, I mean, they think that she's going to exit stage left next election cycle. Nancy will hang on she's
not going anywhere.
Yeah,
just like McConnell.
Yeah, why would she go anywhere? You know, and the Democrats, again, that's why having that infrastructure really makes all the difference in the world, because if the infrastructure was in place, somebody like Charles Booker would have been the nominee. Now, I'm not saying he would have beat Mitch McConnell, but that would have been a very close race. And that would have had them crapping in their britches and God knows what else. But Amy, McGrath is somebody who was literally giving money to Donald Trump's campaign in Ohio and Iowa. So, like I said, change is coming. It's not coming fast enough, but that doesn't mean it's not coming. And with a candidate like yourself, who is going to be an unabashed progressive who is going to really make people uncomfortable who don't want to be uncomfortable. You know, I hate to reference what the old AOC used to say, but it's true. You got to bring the ruckus. You just do.
That's my specialty, is making people uncomfortable and bringing the ruckus. And I will talk 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 until the wheels fall off. But that's what I'm going up there to do. I'm gonna go in there. I will bring my clack fan if I have to, and I'm gonna make them take notice and see who walked in the door, because I didn't plan on running for me. When I think about my motivation to run, I think about my coworkers, my family, my friends, the people who suffer across this country, who are constantly begging for help, and they're not getting it. It's time for that to change. It's time for that to change. We cannot continue to keep going down the same old road. It's stuff like this that got us Donald Trump in the first place. And if we don't change course now, it's going to happen again.
Oh, listen, I'm already telling everybody, keep going on this road, and DeSantis is in the White House in 3 years.
They're asking.
They are, as you know, they're asking for it.
Oh, they're poising to put them up there.
Look at that. A new patron, Kevin Parker, new patron, scrolling across the screen. Very nice.
Ooh.
You will be getting a jersey. Peter, have the jerseys
and
come
my
to
Lulu
the
sticker.
house? Yeah. And you will get a Lulu sticker. Yes.
As a matter of fact, the package just came
okay,
today.
Good, because I had to order new jerseys. But yes, you will definitely get a Lulu sticker. And I'm going to have to walk him through that because I'm out of town and I'm always the one who mails all the stuff. So to all the new $5 and $10 people, your stuff will come, but it's going to be a little bit dependent on Peter.
We'll see about that, Congresswoman. This is what you're getting, baby. Look at that beautiful
it's
thing.
It's a Lulu. Yeah. And he'll get a generational change jersey. But yeah, so we have actually a slew of new people from the past week or so. And I really think it might be the enticement of the Lulu sticker.
Yeah. Hey, whatever works, baby, because the money we raise goes back to the community to help fund generational change. Last thing, Kevin, before we depart, where can everybody find you?
So you guys can all visit my website, simple. KevinParkerForCongress.com, on Facebook, Facebook.com/KevinParkerForCongress, on there as well. I'm always responding to messages. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll get you my answer. If it's policy, if it's something I'm not aware of, I will definitely look into it, and I will definitely get back to you.
Check it out, guys. Kevin Parker.
So great. Yeah, guys, show some love. Show some
Absolutely.
love.
He's showing love to our show, so we're showing love right back. Get over there.
Thank you, guys.
Give him a donation. Give him a follow. Give him a like. Sign up for phone banking, text banking, anything that will help him continue to build this movement in Central Florida, in the Sunshine State that we desperately need. Lord knows we need more than just one big Mickey Mouse field of solar panels. We need it throughout the whole state.
Yes,
Kevin, thank you so much. We will definitely be seeing you soon.
Thank you guys for having me. Have a great night. I'll be watching
the rest of the show. My friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Right. Bye-bye.
I mean, again, I think we're pretty good at getting good people to come on our show.
Well, it's that, and I feel encouraged with this sort of there's been a nice influx of young progressive candidates, and even specifically in Florida, which is kind of nice. So I kind of, it's encouraging.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.